What are the best insulin injection sites for diabetics? How can we minimize errors, prevent pain, discomfort, yet optimize our blood sugar levels? Most newly diagnosed diabetics are normally managed with diet, exercise, and some medications. If you're like me, a re-diagnosed type 1.5 latent diabetic, or a type 2 who requires insulin, then today's episode is a must watch. I will cover some characteristics of insulin that many of you are not aware of or have not been taught yet, some of which I knew from my educational background and others I had to learn and figure out completely on my own. A hands-on approach that no textbook or study could have provided. So you will get some real-world experience on the variables to insulin injections that will decrease mistakes that we all make, giving you much better control over your blood sugars. These are life-saving pointers you will not find anywhere else on the net, except for here, the Resilient Diabetic. But before we begin, let me welcome all those resilient diabetics out there. This is where we turn ordinary struggling diabetics into extraordinarily well-controlled diabetics. If you don't know who I am, my name is Sampat, and I am an insulin-dependent diabetic, diagnosed a little over 5 years ago, so the proud owner of a pancreas that it seems to have gone on a permanent and lifelong vacation. So not only am I diabetic like you, where we will walk the walk and talk the talk together, but I also do have a University of Bachelor of Science degree in nutrition dietetics, and that does come in extremely handy when it comes to discussing all the intricacies of being a diabetic. If you like what you see here today and you want to learn more, I suggest you hit that subscribe button, the like button, and the notification icon, which is the gray bell. That's so you don't miss a second of those upcoming episodes that will change your life. If you are new to insulin, this may seem difficult and overwhelming at first, but you can learn the very basics of how to successfully administer insulin with the support of your healthcare team first, along with some determination and a little bit of practice. It will come with time, don't worry. There are different ways to take insulin, including syringes, insulin pens, and insulin pumps. Your doctor will help decide which technique is best for you. Syringes remain a common method of insulin delivery. They're the least expensive option, and most insurance companies cover them. So that is what we will discuss today. Insulin should be injected into the fatty tissue below the skin. If you inject insulin deeper into the muscle, your body will absorb it too quickly and it may not last as long, and the injection usually becomes a little more painful. This can lead to low blood sugar levels if not timed out properly with the right food mix. Those of us who take insulin daily should rotate our sites. This is important because using the same spot over and over again can cause lipodystrophy. This is a condition where fat either breaks down or builds up under the skin, causing lumps, indentations that interfere with insulin absorption. You can rotate to different areas of your abdomen. Keep an injection sites about an inch apart. And this site is obviously very easy to access. 2, produces the least amount of discomfort for me. More importantly, insulin is absorbed a lot more predictably there. And that is the area that I use 100% of the time. This part of your body is also easy to reach. So what you want to do is select a site between the bottom of your ribs to about your pubic area, steering clear about the 2-inch area around your navel. You can inject insulin into other parts of your body, including your thigh, your arm, and your buttocks. But understand one thing, those areas change the timing of insulin, depending on the amount of fat one carries. And I will explain in time why those areas do not work for me. You'll also want to avoid areas around scars, moles, skin blemishes, broken blood vessels, or varicose veins. These can interfere with ways in which your body absorbs insulin. Before we begin on what is really going to help you, we need to discuss the 3 characteristics of insulin. The first characteristic is called the onset. That is how quickly they begin to act, or when it starts to begin working to lower blood sugars. The peak. when it achieves maximum impact. This is when the insulin is working the hardest. The duration. How long does it last in the body? Different kind of insulins have different onsets, peaks, and durations. And what are they? First, we've got the rapid acting, Humalog and Novolog. The short acting, which are they're called regular insulins. Regular meaning Humulin R or Novolin R. The intermediate, also known as NPH, Humulin N or Novolin N. Remember about this one, it's a little cloudy, it's not clear like the others. Then we have the long-acting insulins, the Lantus and the Livermeres. Do a Google search for peak, onset, duration, and the name of your insulin, and that will provide you with some nice charts of the characteristics of your specific insulin. You have to know that, and it makes things much easier for you in the future. The important part of this video is what are the factors that change these characteristics of insulin, and this is what's really going to help you. First one, body temperature. The warmer or hotter you are, the faster the characteristics come into play. If you've just worked out or even taken a hot shower, the insulin you may have injected will probably have a faster onset and peak. I generally never take my insulin, even the basal ones, prior to working out. Not only will the increased blood flow change, but the body will speed up the rate in which those basal insulins are cleared. I always take my basal long-acting insulins after my cardio session, never before. And even though my basal insulin, like Lantus, has a 24-hour coverage, I've now learned, due to my twice-a-day workout schedule, I do cardio in the morning and then weights at night, I have to divide my total dose into half and split them into two. That's for much better control. In part, Lantus does not give me quite a 24-hour degree of coverage unless I split them up. My post-weight training workout is where I have the most volatility. I do use a small amount of insulin R to help drive that dinner's glucose, protein, vitamins, minerals back into my starved cells. After the gym, my body is not only very, very warm and hot, but my muscles are depleted and incredibly sensitive. Couple that with low degree of body fat and increased blood circulation around the injection spots means a very, very fast, rapid onset. Insulin R generally has an onset of about half an hour to an hour. It peaks around the 2 to 4 hour mark, and the duration of insulin R usually is around 6 to 8 hours. But for me, after intensive exercise, it goes from a normal 30 to 40 minutes to immediately. And then it peaks about the hour mark, and it only lasts about 3 hours. So now you see the difference between how insulins respond based on your physical condition. The more stressed out you are, the faster the heartbeat, the warmer you're going to be, the wackier the characteristics. So in other words, depending on the stress and the time of the injection, you could get hit with a massive hypoglycemic episode. That is because the body sped up the release of that insulin. Oral medications such as metformin change the sensitivity of the body to insulin, and that has to be factored in. When I was first diagnosed, I was diagnosed as a type 2 and initially given metformin. I saw how powerful that was at increasing sensitivity even without insulin. One common mistake I made, and I'm glad I caught this early, is what I call the empty syringe syndrome. There are times where I'm pulling the insulin from the bottle into the syringe, and it looks like there's actually insulin in the syringe, but there's none. It's actually all air. What does that cause? Massive changes to glucose control for the rest of the day. So before I inject, I will actually remove the pin from the bottle and then pull back on the plunger ever so slightly so I can verify that insulin line. Insulin is so clear and translucent that you will not be able to see it in the syringe if it's still attached to the bottle. Nor do I like squirting the insulin out just to test, because insulin is expensive and we both know that it shouldn't be wasted. So where do you choose the best spot for injections? That will be based on where you in particular store body fat. You want insulin injected into fatty tissue, not muscle, because then it changes the characteristics of insulin, especially those long-acting basal ones. That 10 IU of Lantus that has a duration of 24 hours which is a semi-flat line, would now have a strong onset and peak and will turn into a fast-acting insulin if it was injected into the wrong spot. For me, due to my physical condition, I don't have much body fat on my legs or my arms. So those sites are actually pretty dangerous for me to use. That is why I exclusively use the abdominal region. One of the first mistakes upon being new to insulin was caused by the syringe itself. I was initially given a 2930 gauge, what's known as a 12 millimeter or half inch, which was far too deep for me. So what makes this so complicated is that not only do we have to put the insulin into the right layer, but it has to be timed in conjunction to the food that we eat. So I was going hypo more often than necessary. And this was not due to the food. I sort of had to take the reins at that point, and I had to ask my doctor for the 5/16 31 gauge, which is both a thinner and a smaller version. And that was the magic bullet that resolved a lot of my initial problems. So now to the syringe itself. Depending on the dose and how much IUs of insulin you will need will determine the gauge and the depth. Obviously, the more volume of insulin one needs, the deeper the injection needs to be to ensure that it does not leak out. The higher the gauge, the smaller the number. So as the numbers go up, the thinner it becomes. And what I found to be the best are the 31 gauge 5/16 inch needles. The 31 gauges are the thinnest. And not only that, but they are painless. The 5/16 of an inch ensure that I do not penetrate into the muscle tissue below the fat. Depending on the volume of insulin needed and the thickness of one's skin will determine which one will be best for you. One big point I want to make, the manufacturers out there are all different. So a 31 gauge 5/16 is different from one manufacturer to the other. How well they're designed, how much they cost, and the amount of pressure that you need to push the plunger to inject the insulin. You'll have to find one that works best for you over time. In the comment section below, please feel free to give your insulin troubles and solutions that you found over time. Did you find it difficult to navigate it when you first started? Any tips that you can share? We'd all greatly appreciate, especially for those new diabetics come in every single day that will thank you. And for those of you who are new, don't forget to subscribe to this channel. I will add a playlist link to this video. It's called Blood Glucose Testing Procedures. There you will have a multitude of videos on how to navigate blood glucose meters for the most accurate readings, and also 2 videos on how to effectively and efficiently raise blood sugar levels after a hypoglycemic or a low blood sugar episode. Information you will not find anywhere else. So I'll create a direct link and play it right there. If you're on a laptop or a desktop, you can hit your mouse. If you're on a mobile device, use your finger to tap that with your fingers and it'll take you directly to those videos. Have a great and productive day, and we will see you soon with another episode, which are always released weekly. Bye for now.